Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of this year's Chicago International Film Festival's Critics Picks. My name is Alejandro Riera, publicity manager for the Chicago International Film Festival and film critic for several publications, Gozamos.com, filmcritic.com, and occasionally Remezcla. And we finished things off our final episode with another dynamic duo here, Ben and Kat Sachs, associate editors for Cinephile Chicago. Cinephile, the go-to place if you're a hardcore film fan, cinephile, you name it. They're here, and they're going to talk to us about the films that stood out the most for them in this year's edition of the festival. I mean, can't believe that it's almost, 36 hours away before we finalize this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting edition of the festival.
Right.
But the nice thing is the films, as opposed to in years past where you had to get to the theater at a certain point, now you can rent it and just have it for a certain period. So there is a little bit more spectator control over the viewing experience. So, any movies that we talk about now, I believe everyone will still have a chance to see.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly, because we had the films running for the entire run of the festival, which some festivals, just like Latino film festivals, they only show them for a certain number of days, and then they will just change the programming for another number of films. I think that you're right, but I think the best benefit is not only that, but you had the chance to revisit that film during the festival, during a certain period as well.
For sure.
So let's start with some of the standouts for you guys. Let's start with what will be the number one. Let's start from number one until we finish this segment of. What will be the number one standout film for both of you?
Well, Kat, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So the standout film of the festival for me, and probably one of my top favorites of the year, would be Tsai Ming-Long's Days. We're big fans of Tsai Ming-Long. I think, what was it? Was it like the day after we got married? Did we see Stray Dogs at the Chicago International Film Festival? Yeah, so the day after we got married, we went to see Stray Dogs at AMC Rebreeze all those years ago. So we've been keeping up with what he's been putting out. I think, though, this is his first narrative feature since Stray Dogs.
Yeah, I mean, after Stray Dogs, Tsai said that he was done making films and just focused exclusively on video installations for art galleries and other spaces like that. And it seemed like that was all he was going to be doing with his career. But then he surprised everyone late last year when he announced he had this film done.
But it's not quite a narrative. I mean, he has said in interviews that it was footage that he has shot of his longtime collaborator, Li Kang-sheng. There is another man, kind of like a young Li, so to speak, who's in the film as well. But he compiled the film from footage of these two actors over the course, I'm not sure exactly how long, but kind of then compiled the narrative from that. I refer to it as being kind of like a spiritual sequel to The River, which in my estimation is his masterpiece, because it kind of revisits Li Kang-sheng's, his longtime collaborator's neck injury, which is the focus of The River and kind of Days as well.
Did you feel as you were watching the Days that some of his work in video installations was seeping into the film, that there had been some sort of dialogue happening between this feature film and some of the work that he has been doing in video?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, he could put any of his films in a gallery and they would probably work as an installation as well.
But the focus on just spending time with mundane activity is the subject of a lot of the installation work. And, there's no narrative in those. And in Days, there's a very little bit of narrative. I mean, just enough to kind of hold it together for 2 hours.
Something to note about it is that it's intentionally unsubtitled. So there is brief dialogue in the film, but it is not subtitled in English or at all. He's drinking my Diet Coke. I don't talk about this after. But that adds another layer to it in that it's, I don't want to say it's unapproachable, so to speak, but it's a little different maybe than what moviegoers expect, even from international cinema.
What's next on your list? What will be another standout?
You go.
Well, for me, hands down, the best thing I saw at the festival was Careless Crime. Shahram Mokri, the Iranian filmmaker, this is his fourth film. And I think it's really unlike almost anything else I've seen. I've been a fan of Mokri for several years now. He came to Chicago in 2015, and I met him then. He was presenting a film called Fish and Cat, which
we screened.
We also presented in Andersonville about a year later. But Fish and Cat is this really amazing film that it's all in one take. Now, there are a lot of movies that are made entirely in one take. That's not so novel. But the thing about Fish and Cat is that it's not a film that's...
Speaking of cat.
I was gonna say.
a film that exists in real time. So there are flashbacks and flash forwards and dream sequences. And when I got to meet Mokri, he said that he was thinking about M.C. Escher drawings when he made that film to create something that's, possible within art, but would be impossible in real life. It's real time, but it's not.
Right.
And I think that since then, he's been a filmmaker who's interested in creating these sort of impossible scenarios in film. And Careless Crime interweaves these three different stories, which is also something that's been done before. I mean, Cloud Atlas is a recent example of something like that. But he's playing with these contradictions between the three stories in the film, and you're never quite sure if what you're seeing is taking place in the past or the present, in cinema or in real life. And so there's just a constant sense of mystery to the film, and it seems to get more mysterious the further it goes along, which kind of runs counter to what we expect of a lot of movies, which present mysteries to us and then resolve them as they go along. I can't claim to be an expert on Iranian history. I know a bit, but the film is dealing with this incident of domestic terrorism that happened a year before the Iranian Revolution.
Movie theater?
Yeah, when this movie theater got burned down, almost 500 people were killed. And this was done in protest of Western films being shown in the cinema and just the influence of Western culture in general. And a lot of people think that this tragedy was one of the forces that created the revolution the next year. So in Careless Crime, the Mokri film, one of the stories is about four men who are trying to recreate this arson in the present and burn down a movie theater now. And I think that incident that's at the center of the movie isn't just about Iranian history or politics, but I think it becomes kind of the Pandora's box for all these questions about how cinema can have these create these ruptures in the world we live in. And so it's kind of the ideal film festival film in that way.
Well, and that actually was a big winner at our awards yesterday as well.
Yeah, we saw
National
that.
competition. So, in fact, you've picked two award winners. Days on the Outlook category, Careless Crime on the international category. Usually one of the nice things about any festival is finding that jewel that nobody else has found. Everybody always focuses on the larger films or the films that have had some buzz around them from other festivals. In your case, Kathleen, what would be that one jewel, that one film that you think, more people should be seeing this in the next 36 hours because it's so perfect. It's such a perfect festival film, if you will.
I don't know if it's a jewel. I feel like this is a big one, actually. We're huge admirers of Hong Sang-soo. So The Woman Who Ran, we really love, and I would recommend everyone go watch it. And also, Hong Sang-soo is a graduate of the School of the Art Institute, so I know in the past couple of years it's been exciting that his films have started coming to Chicago more and more, especially as they're being released, represented by Grasshopper and Cinema Guild. So that's a big one for me, and this is an especially good Hong Sang-soo film. He's made quite a few. I think this is his 24th.
It's up there.
Yeah.
He's in that range. Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredibly prolific. It's almost like he does them, so freewheeling. I mean, there's like a certain sort of improvisational style to his films.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this one is especially notable because there is a fantastic cat in the film. And for admirers of Hong Sang-soo, you'll know that his kind of signature technique is the zoom. And the cat gets its own Hong zoom, which if you love Hong Sang-soo and you love cats, I mean, this is just one of the best cinematic moments of the year, really.
I'm thinking of what I discovered. The shorts program, Shorts Program 8, which I got to write about for Cinephile, has some really compelling pieces in it. It was a prize winner, I think, the first one in the program, The End of Suffering, which is a really charming short directed by, I forget her first name. Her last name is Lentsu, but she's Greek. And it's about this woman who's having a panic attack, and she's contacted by the cosmos to kind of calm her down.
I need that.
And it's one of those examples of experimental filmmaking that's funny. I think we forget that, the avant-garde can have jokes.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of that. It's something that's showing you this kind of artful appropriation of science fiction, but in a way it's also really light and amusing.
Yeah. Other films that I really admired are a lot of the documentaries. Finding Ying was fantastic. I thought that was interesting. Like true crime is very big right now. There are a lot of podcasts, there are a lot of documentaries. I feel like it's almost reductive to call it true crime because it's so personal and intimate. As the young first-time filmmaker addresses the subject with she is very familiar because she went to the same school as Ying in China, and they both went to Illinois colleges here in the U.S., and she was helping her Ying's family after her disappearance. I know if people are not familiar with it, it's kind of getting deep into what happens in the film, but I really admired her approach to that. Mama Gloria was just fantastic as,
well, representation of local culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it just is so, Mama Gloria is just a fantastic subject, and you really kind of feel connected with her through the film itself. So it's almost like spending time with a new friend, versus even just watching a film. Naterno is fantastic. I know Gio Rossi is the subject of a Centerpiece Award, I think, and Robert Greene was hosting that conversation. That was great. And Transoceanicas, which I reviewed for the Reader, also really admired the bold structure of that film. Very unique.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Transoceanicas, because to me that's one of those films that is so unique, so experimental, so bold, that it's one of those films that can get easily lost in any festival. That's what I will call that's what I was talking about when I was talking about a Ewell. Or a little pearl inside, this big macrocosmos called a festival. And Transoceanicas, to me, fits that bill really nicely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that's nice to discover. I look forward to seeing what both of those filmmakers do next, and also maybe looking back to what they've done previously.
That reminds me of something in the Hong Sang-soo film. I think it's Woman of the Future of Man, where the filmmaker character is meeting an old friend, and he says that the critics said that my film was a gem, and he says it in English because the film had screened at an American film festival, and the friend says, "Gem, that's like a treasure, right?" And the filmmaker says, "No, a treasure would be like a lot of gems. They just call my film one gem."
Well, there are a lot of gems at this year's Chicago International Film Festival, so altogether it is a treasure.
It is. Any final thoughts about this year's festival's experience of undergoing a virtual film festival, even?
I've enjoyed watching so much of it in my pajamas.
Yeah, I mean, we do love the theater going experience. I I can't wait to get back. But to some extent, we're not picky. We will kind of watch films however we can. So been exciting to be able to watch a lot of stuff through the Chicago International Film Festival and catching stuff, tonight and tomorrow as well.
All right. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the Critics Picks at the Chicago International Film Festival. Ben and Kat Sachs from Cinephile. Folks, every Friday, you need to check them out. You need to log in. You just hit that page just to see their latest recommendations. And you got another, more than 36 hours of films to watch. So get on it. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Alejandro. It was good seeing you.